Today, being addicted to the feeling of being worth something. Welcome to Sacred Grit, a podcast equipping men to conquer addiction and overcome inner struggles through physical, mental, and spiritual disciplines so you can become a man of honor and integrity. I'm Jason Lyle. Now let's get to work. Today you'll learn addiction is not a behavior problem. It is a worth problem wearing a behavior costume. The behavior will never stop until the worth problem underneath it is addressed. And self-love is not a feeling you fall into. It's a daily decision that interrupts the addiction cycle. This episode is brought to you by Oak Haven Diagnostics. What's up, my dude? Welcome back to the Sacred Grit podcast and Sacred Sunday. Let's keep talking about this here self-worth situation because I think there's a huge key in there. And the more that I live life, the more that I realize that I don't know that I was as addicted to sex and pornography as I was to feeling like I was worth something to someone. So let's unpack that a little bit because at the very core of most of the guys that I work with, I see this humming under the surface on some level. So the first thing is addiction is not a behavior problem. It's a worth problem wearing a behavior costume. So as I said, every man I've worked with and struggled with addiction was struggling with the same thing underneath it. The belief that he's not enough, right, as he is. Like he has somewhere that he has to get to. So he's not worthy of love. He's not worthy of honesty. He's not worthy of the life he wanted. And the addiction is just the fastest possible solution to getting this feeling of feeling worth something or numbing the feeling of not being worth something, right? So it gives 5 minutes of relief from the weight of not feeling like we are worth. But that's not a weakness. And I think a lot of times we see that as like this weakness, but it's really doing the only thing that you know how to do with the pain when you don't have tools to address it. So I tell a lot of my guys that really addiction is an attempt to love yourself. And I think that we could even apply that to a lot of things that men deal with: anger, depression, anxiety, all these things that come across. We see them as like our enemy, but really I think it is our body's attempt to love us. So depression is an attempt to slow us down. Anxiety is an attempt to wake us up. Addiction is an attempt to make us feel soothed. So we just don't have the right tools. So our body steps in and gives us this behavior pattern loop that actually tries to achieve the thing for us that we need to achieve for ourselves. But what happens is that becomes destructive when we learn the wrong pattern. Okay. So the behavior will never stop until the worth problem underneath it is addressed. Now, this is why white knuckling doesn't work, and it's why willpower doesn't work. You know exactly what you should do and still don't do it, right? You're not fighting the behavior, you're fighting the belief system that produced the behavior. And a belief that has been running around in your nervous system for 30 years is not going to respond to information or effort. It responds to a different experience, right? A repeated embodied experience of being worth showing up for. That's what the practices give you, not a reason to stop, a reason to believe you're worth stopping. So this is that Richard Rohr quote in action, right? That we don't think ourselves into a new way of being. We be ourselves into a new way of acting. Because I think so many men, and I just had this conversation with a guy day before yesterday, we're waiting for the moment when we finally feel the thing that's going to make us feel like we're worth stopping for, right? We're finally going to find that moment where we go, oh, I'm not going to do this today because I just feel amazing, or whatever moment we're looking for in our body. But the reverse is what has to happen, right? The behavior is not going to stop until we address the underneath problem. And the underneath problem, the worth problem, is stopped by showing ourselves that we are worth it, that we have worth. And so we do the things that make us feel like we have worth. For me, that's going rock climbing. That's going to ride my mountain bike. That's getting up in the morning and getting in a cold plunge. That's doing yoga, doing meditation, doing breath work. All those things are showing me that I'm worth it. And sometimes that means there is no TV time or there is no, mindless scrolling time because I'm busy doing things that show myself that I love myself. It's so important for us men to know, because self-love is not a feeling you fall into. It is a daily decision that interrupts the addiction cycle. So here's the thing. The moment you decide, before the trigger ever hits to use an addiction, or before the urge builds and before the old pattern starts running, if you decide that you're worth a different decision already, so you've already made that decision, the cycle begins to break. Now, not dramatically, not all at once. It's not a magic pill, but one decision at a time, one morning at a time, one rep at a time. Self-love is a preloaded decision that changes everything else. I'm worth getting up. I'm worth getting in the cold water. I'm worth 5 minutes of stillness. I'm worth going rock climbing. I'm worth taking care of my body. I'm worth eating the right kind of food. I'm worth going to meetings. I'm worth hanging out with buddies. I have worth in and of these things, not what I'm doing at work. That's important, but I am worth it just because I am me. And that's where the addiction cycle breaks. Not in the moment of the urge, but in the morning before the urge ever arrives. Man, I become more and more convinced that if men can figure out how to love themselves first before anything else ever happens, if we can learn how to go, hey man, I'm going to start right here. What begins to happen is I don't have to look for my partner to love me. I don't have to look for my family to love me. I don't have to look for my paycheck to make me feel worth something. I don't have to look for my hobbies to make me feel worth something. I have started with the general understanding. The foundation of my thought process is that I am already worth it. All right. So my dude, today you learned addiction is not a behavior problem. It's a worth problem wearing a behavior costume. The behavior will never stop until the worth problem underneath it is addressed. And self-love is not a feeling you fall into. It is a daily decision that interrupts the addiction cycle. My dude, thank you for listening. Men's Retreat, October 2nd through 4th. Only a few spots left. You can go to thesacredgrit.com, click on retreats, men's retreats, and you shall find the registration there. All right, my dude. This episode is brought to you by Capital City Roofing. The good folks at Capital City Roofing sponsor the Sacred Grit podcast and also are donors to Adventures in Recovery. And we appreciate all they do. They can take care of all your roofing needs, your siding needs, your exterior needs, everything that you need. Capital City Roofing can take care of it. You can find them at capitalcityroofing.net. All right, my dude. I hope you have a great week. I will see you on